Faders of the Lost Art.
Welcome back to Faders of the Lost Art. We are here live at NAMM. It's 2025. We're at the Cloud Mics booth, and I'm blessed and honored to be here with some of audio royalty, some of the most legendary, some of the hardest working, and some of the most accoladed individuals in the game. I'll start from left to right, or right to left, depending on how you're watching this. Fab Dupont. Amazing mix engineer. He has credits from here to Brazil and China and back. He has an amazing studio in New York called Flux. Beautiful facility. You must check it out. Bob Horn. Need I say more? Bob is a legend. Yeah. Bob spells legend when he drives down the street in tire marks. Amazing. For those of you that don't know, you should know. Bob's my fellow fader, baby. Let's go.
That's right.
H.E.R, BTS, Michael Jackson, need I say more? My boy Nick Mack.
Thank you.
Electric Feel.
Yes, sir.
Sunset Boulevard.
Yes, sir.
Posty.
Yes, sir.
Gang.
Gang.
This guy's one of the hardest working, one of the baddest engineers on earth.
Thank you.
If you guys haven't met Nick Mack, please give me a warm welcome. Help me welcome.
Beautiful
Nick Mack.
Thank you, Nico.
And last but not least, Mr. Rodger Cloud himself. Woo! You guys see the name up on the banner. This is the legend behind the myth.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. Every single one of these pieces was developed by this genius right here. He is also a very beautiful studio owner that most of you may not know. So everybody here on this panel owns a top-tier, world-class, amazing, beautiful studio facility. So
Rodger also has a good band.
Yeah, and Rodger has an amazing band.
He's an artist.
I saw Rodger live in Brooklyn.
Oh, that's legendary.
Right. Yeah, I saw you live in Brooklyn.
That's right.
Nice.
Legendary guitar player. Yes, sir.
Whoa.
So let's kick it off. Without further ado, what's going on? What's the latest and the greatest? Chop it up.
It's NAMM, baby.
What's your favorite piece of gear you've seen so far?
Ooh.
Me personally, I'm gonna take it. The X2. No, I'm sorry.
That's hard.
The X2. No.
That one, I like that one.
This one.
Yeah.
The X2. This is my favorite joint right here. Why? Because when I got the X, it was amazing. This button right here is my favorite. And then you get two, dude. What's better than one?
Two.
That's right.
It's a good start.
Very true.
I like this one. Rodger hooked me up with this one a little bit ago. Remember that?
the Z.
He came down to Sunset, down to the studio, and we use a lot of SM7Bs down there, and you know what? This has been so fantastic to throw that in there and let people kind of sit and kind of, or even whatever, any other dynamic mic. You were telling me about, that I tried that on guitar cabs, the 421 with this, and just kind of sit there and tweak it and kind of get it where you want it.
How's that go?
I love that, dude.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, he wasn't lying. He didn't lie to me. Rodger didn't lie to me. So you know what?
Very nice.
I love that one. That's my favorite one.
I don't know this. Oh, yes.
You'll love it.
The variable Z.
Ooh la la. Very nice.
Variable impedance, a little bit of ground lift, a little bit of a boost. We have a boost on the ZI. This is the instrument version.
Oh, I haven't seen
So
that
you have a
one.
little bit of gain right there.
Cool. Like the design.
It's sick. These are my favorites, dude. It's
thanks,
like
guys.
cheating.
It's cool because you pull it out the bag or the box, whatever you have, and then someone in the session goes, "What's that?" And then it makes you look cool. It's a cool little icebreaker, I feel like.
And especially when you tie it up to the mic stand, you're like, "What's that thing?" They've never seen a mic stand.
That's what that's for.
Yes, this is for yes.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yes, it goes in lines and the cable lines up like so your mic.
No, I literally let it dangle from the cable like you're not supposed to. You know?
Yeah. It comes with a little zip tie or
That's sick.
zip whatever. But anyways, it's sick. And that was actually my introduction to the cloud stuff. Was I saw it at the Village on on the
Nice.
I was like, what's the thing on the mic stand?
It's little icebreakers you see in studios, little cool pieces of gear, little trinkets, little tchotchkes or whatever, and you're like, hey, what is that? And the engineer goes, thought you'd never ask. And they tell you, I need more of that. Makes you look cool. So it's like Rodger making this stuff, and then you have it. It's just like, I don't know. It just shows you know something, and it's like you got little tricks for things. So, and the more companies that we have that do that, I think it keeps it fun day to day, and it's classy. It looks good. It's not some anyway. So
Well, these are definitely favorites of mine, but I've known them for a while, so these aren't new favorites. You asked what the new favorite. We're right across from Trinov, which I just got one last week.
Oh, you did?
And holy heck!
Did you get a Nova?
I got a Nova. It changed my life.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
Yeah, we've had some for a while at the Cloud
Oh, yeah?
HQ. Oh yeah.
Oh man. Well, my studio it's not in a purpose-built studio. It's in my living room, and that thing is just perfect. It just made it sound like a studio. It's just
Crazy.
insane. Yeah.
I've actually been playing with the SonarWorks for quite a few years. I'm sure you guys know.
Yep.
But with that thing, I'm getting amazing results. So I
Yeah.
can't even imagine what Trinoff is doing.
It's quite good.
Yeah.
And in the Nova, they integrated in the monitoring section,
Okay.
and I actually kind of suggested that
Nice.
because I had a team on and I had all the other stuff, and I told him, and they're friends. Actually, the dude over there, the head of marketing was my first assistant ever.
Wow.
In a studio in New York, in my studio in New York when
That's
it was
rad.
one room.
That's cool.
Back
must be
in
proud of him.
2003, 4. Yeah, he's awesome.
That's
Benoit.
awesome. That's awesome.
And so, and he's had, we were working together. He was working for him for like 2-3 years, and he went back to France. Then he got the gig at Trinoff, and so he brought real life, like real studio knowledge to Trinoff because they came from hi-fi.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Yeah, their
Makes
stuff
sense.
is hi-fi. They sell like $20,000 hi-fi systems.
Right.
And so when they were starting to make the pro stuff, he called me and I tested it. And I told him, I said, you need a product that basically you need the Nova. And so it took them 2 years, but they built it. And it's really good. And you have the monitoring section, you have a nice remote. The Dante is key, so you can sit on the network and you can use it to basically, be the policeman of your Dante network.
It's beautiful.
And it's cool. So my studio where I mix is all digital.
Right.
It's literally all digital. My whole monitoring section is digital.
Wow.
And I use a pair of keys, key 3s, with BXCs.
Nice.
And I hit them digital straight from the Apollos.
Gotcha.
But-
AES?
AES. But Yaweh just sent me the Dante version of the Apollo. And so what's happening now is I'm integrated the Nova with the Dante Apollo, and everything is on the
Syncing,
network.
yeah.
It is
Wow.
That's awesome.
bananas.
Oh,
That's
wow.
crazy.
It's really good.
Excited.
And like for now,
And
when somebody works in my room, I can have another Dante device, like say a headphone cue
Right.
or a mic 3 in the back of the room on the network with just one Ethernet cable PoE, and my room just turned into whatever studio I want at that moment.
Beautiful.
And PoE, for those of you that don't know, is power over Ethernet. That means you don't need to power. Like, imagine if this needed power, but all you need to do is plug in Ethernet instead. So
Yeah,
fantastic.
It's
it's
really
amazing.
practical.
It is, and they are also Trinoff is in fully immersive.
Yes, so not the Nova yet, but
The
there are
bigger
other
one,
products. The Demons are so downstairs in the new. Actually, Roger, you're gonna like that. My new room is called Cloud 9.
Oh, nice.
That's great.
That's
So that's the Atmos room. I was looking for a name for the Atmos room, and I called it Cloud 9.
Nice.
And so
Is it 9.1.4?
it's 7.1.4.
Oh, okay.
And if you want to discuss 7.1 versus 9.1, I'm happy to fight.
By the way, your immersive rooms at Flux are wow.
Yeah, this
they're
sound pretty
amazing.
good.
I actually, without your knowledge or consent, I went and at the Flux event, I listened to as many immersive mixes as I could, and then I rushed straight home. I didn't listen to any other music, and then I tuned my immersive studio to your studio.
I'm
so
really happy with how that room sounds, and
Yes.
it's all based on it's a Apollo 16D.
Okay.
And Dante going into a Dante to AES converter going into the Trinoff.
Wow.
And then it's the D2A from the Trinoff straight into 12 Focal Solo 6s.
Solo 6s.
And I found, contrary to what our good friends at Dolby say, that for me, the solution to mixing Atmos and not want to kill yourself is to have all the same speakers everywhere. And you don't need to have bigger speakers in the front, because if you think about it, when we mix in Dolby, at this point, what do we mix for? We mix for Apple Music, which is going to be played back over headphones.
Yeah.
And there's not two bigger speakers in the front of your headphones.
Sure.
So having a fully uniform system, contrary to recommended best practices for our good friends at Dolby, has totally changed my workflow.
Wow.
And I can work so much faster. I mixed the Andre 3000 album, the Fruit album.
Yes.
I mixed that in my older room. I had like Trio 11s and
Yeah.
for LR.
Yeah.
It was loud as fuck. And it sounded bananas, right?
Yeah.
The translation to headphones took me quite a bit of work.
Okay.
I had to really work to make sure that it would sound good in Apple Spatial on that rig.
Right.
I came back now that we took that room out. We moved into this new Cloud9 room,
Nice.
and I got rid of the big speakers in the front. Just an intuition. I was like, I don't know. Let me try this. So I tried all solo sixes and
Wow.
one sub, because we're not working very
Yeah,
loud.
you had the Treos with a sub on each side, right?
We had a 2-2 system plus 2 subs for LFEs.
Right.
It was basically like one of those cars that you can feel before you hear it or
Yeah,
see
yeah,
it. You know?
yeah.
And I'm like, this is silly. You know,
Yeah.
it was spec and it worked and it sounded great and lots of records were mixed there and they sound bananas. But for me, there was a lot of brain share involved in making it work. Now in Cloud9, it is just incredible. You press play and you have it feels like headphones, and it's just wonderful.
It's like I don't know if you guys did this Sony ear measuring thing where you take off the. It's like that.
They measured
kinda,
that. They measured that room.
Wow.
June from Sony came down with his rig and they measured Cloud9
Yeah.
through the Trinov,
Yeah.
and they said they're going to release it as an option for people who get
That's
the VME.
awesome. That's awesome.
I'm happy because I have my room with
Right,
me anywhere.
right.
I'm like, yep, okay, good.
There you
Come
go.
back
And
anytime.
I literally couldn't tell the difference. I know you couldn't tell the
Yeah.
difference when you took your headphones off.
No, but it is very, the idea of using all the same speakers came from Rich Keller.
Oh,
Wow.
Total
Shout
badass,
out Rich.
total
Yeah.
badass motherfucker.
Shout out Rich.
And he said that, and we talk a lot, and we had conversations, and we're like, no, that kind of makes sense. So let's do that. And then the train-off for that is key, because I don't know about y'all, but for me, I was not going to spend 200 grand building an Atmos room. It was just silliness.
Right.
So I took a room that existed as is and put the speakers in it. They're exactly where they're supposed to be within 1 inch, but I didn't spend money. I happened to have a lot of Solo 6s hanging around.
Yeah.
So we just hung them.
So your
put them-
ceilings as well?
Yeah.
Wow.
Everything is a Solo 6.
Nice.
You sit in there, it is insane. Like it really feels immersive in a way that it didn't feel before.
And then one Solo 12 sub?
It's a Solo 6 sub.
Solo 6
It's a SN, whatever they call it.
Okay.
It's a sub that goes with the Solo 6.
Yeah.
Wow.
And check this out. Because we're lazy, but efficient.
Yeah.
Because people also work in their own stereo. And Solo 6s in stereo, when you have a hip-hop session come down, it can't hang. So we actually use on the Solo 6 as an LFE input, and then there's a stereo sub input. And with the train-off, we have one preset button. We hit Atmos,
Yeah.
and then it uses the LFE input of the sub, and it's tuned perfect. And when you hit stereo, it uses the stereo input
awesome.
of the sub, and now they can work as loud as they want, make themselves deaf if they want to, and there's no problem.
That's
Yeah,
rad.
yeah.
Right. That's amazing.
That's
That's
sick.
That's what you call real efficiency.
Oh yeah, the strict minimum required,
That's right.
or maybe a little bit less than that.
And let them go. Have fun.
Yeah,
know?
Tear it up.
Why are you going to put rules on them? Go ahead, let them have fun.
It sounds bananas. Nobody's complained to date, and the records come out and they get nominated, and so we must be doing something right.
That's right. The work speaks for itself. So let's segue back over to a possibly completely different kind of studio. So yours is all digital. Yours is a lot of analog. Am I
Well,
correct?
Well, we're still recording in Pro Tools, but
Of
yeah, we
course.
have a nice analog front end. We have the 5088 console and
Nice.
Very
the,
nice.
the Rupert Neve?
the Rupert Neve with the Burl motherships, and
Oh,
That's
wow.
it.
it's,
Just-
it's pretty
you know,
sick, yeah.
no big deal.
We're enjoying
You
it.
know,
Flex.
But we have a lot of like vintage like tube pre's. We have like I think 20 something channels with 1073 and
you know,
It's
no
all
a
big
lot, of, a lot
deal.
of good mics over there, too.
a lot of
You
good
know?
sick mic locker. Yeah.
Just a sick mic locker over there.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But we end up using the clouds a lot. Just
Why not?
Okay, so tough question. Because you have an awesome pair of two different model ribbon mics, but I know you also own other ribbon mics. When do you choose to use a cloud versus like the AEA or one of those?
So yeah, we have a good selection of RCA's, you know, and most of the time, like if I'm looking for something that's really got a kind of a colored voice to it, like a real sort of, character that's not exactly natural, but right for like a guitar solo or something.
Yeah.
Then that's when I'll grab the other mics. But
Gotcha.
most of the time, like we put the clouds up against stuff, and it wins a lot of battles. So.
Nice.
you know.
Also, they
I like
stay
to
on
call
until
it-
the end of the session. They don't break in
Right,
the middle
right.
of the session, which is nice.
Which is, that's a plus. That's what I was segueing to. Is it's it's a vintage vibe with modern technology. It's like the best of both worlds.
It's here for the
Because-
long run, you know? Like you were saying, it's not going to break in the middle of something. I mean, I don't know if y'all ever had like a tube socket go out in a 47 during the middle of something, and they're in the middle of
boy.
singing, and you're just like,
Yeah.
where's the
Should I-
tech? You know?
yeah.
I don't do
Right.
that. I don't do the tube socket
I had
stuff.
my 77DX die in the middle of a session
Oh,
every 5 sessions because it's
Right.
fucking ancient. And it sounds bananas, but it's just like this thing has been through 2 wars,
Right.
you know?
Literally.
And it's like, do you want to use the 77DX? Yeah, I do. I really do. All right, let's just try. And then sometimes it makes it through, and sometimes on day 2 it's like, nah, not today, honey.
yeah.
Yeah. So
That's funny.
So you've been using the clouds a bunch. You were
Yeah.
just telling me.
yeah, I really like it. And the one that looks like a 44, but it got on a diet, like a skinny 44.
Yeah, skinny 44.
I love it. And I just did a record, a single. The New York scene is really intense. There's a lot of beautiful musicians, but they don't have the money to go to studios. So once a month, I pick a band that from the area that's a badass, and I make them a record for free.
Wow.
So
That's
and
great.
then, I bring the assistants and the interns at the studio, and then I bring them on the session so they can learn.
Yep.
And then I give the masters to the artist. So I did this amazing like power girl punk lipstick punk record for a band called Pig Milk.
Pink Milk.
Bananas. They're awesome. They're
That's
really,
nice.
really great. Great singer, great song. On that one, I used the 44 as I don't know the name of your number, but the Cloud.
Yeah, the 44 and
Okay.
the 44 active. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't think they're active. I think they're passive. So the 44 as a mono overhead.
I love that.
And it was just so balanced and perfect. And then based on that strength, the following month I did a single for a singer named Matt Wetzer, who's an Irish singer. You can think of it of a mix between Velvet Underground with a
nice.
lot of Velvet Underground and Mumford & Sons, like somewhere in between.
Nice.
Really, but really awesome. And we did the record all live, and the drums is 2 of the 44s. One on a bass drum, one on overhead. That's it.
That's sick.
And it's just like a beautiful texture, and it sounds great.
That's
And
awesome.
Those things are great.
I'm sure that'll make you cry.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. That dude's an amazing singer, and the whole record. I make those records live.
Wow.
The whole band in the room.
Nice.
Drums, bass next to the drums, bass amp next to the drums, guitar amp on the other side. The Vance Powell way. Vance showed me and said,
yeah.
"Yo,
Nice.
do it that way." I'm like, "Okay, dude." So that's
Catch
what.
it as it is. I love that. That's
Everybody
great.
in the room, everybody playing, and then vocal overdub at the end of the day, mix at the end of the day, send it out, gone.
Nice. That's like
Beautiful.
it's like we've done this for so many years, but you guys just can't figure it out. Well, Fab's been figuring it out.
Yeah.
Did
Did you know that the first cloud microphone demo I ever did was at your studio?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
How cool
That's
is
right.
that? It's pretty cool. Yeah, that place is the upstairs room is really wonderful. That console is really nice, and the room sounds great. We've been moving shit around like 1 inch at a time until everything sounds good. It's like
Sometimes you just got to move it that 1 inch. That's it.
it's
Literally.
really is crazy. You move the speaker this much, it moves the room this way, and all of a sudden you can hear the bass drum. Like, okay, let's go.
It's crazy. That whole concept is insane. The fact that you just move one speaker or turn it. You don't even have to move it.
Oh,
You
yeah,
just
just-
tilt it on
tilt it,
axis,
yeah.
and it just lines up your whole image in a way that you heard things you never heard before, even in other studios.
Here's the thing: we can't forget this. In 2025, wow,
Yeah.
in 2025, it's really hard to buy a shitty piece of gear. There's a baseline now.
Sure.
It's gotten so much better than say 15 years or 20 years ago. So if you buy a pair of speakers in 2025 and you don't pay $8 for them, let's say you go with a reputable company,
Right.
and you invest enough money for it to be good. Like speakers, you can buy a pair of IK multimedia speakers and they rock.
They rock.
Okay.
They really do. Both of them.
Pretty good.
If you put that speaker in your room and it sounds like shit, it's not the speaker.
Right.
It's your room.
Right.
Hands the Trinov or Sonarworks, or hands moving it 2 inches to the left.
There you go.
And
Like I can't live without the Trinov.
it's
Like,
really good.
Once you try it.
Yeah.
One thing I will recommend though is trying to move your speakers before you
Yep.
Trinov or Sonarworks because
Sure.
there's nothing like
It goes in tandem. You can't just.
Funny thing about the Tron, it'll tell you if your speaker's in the wrong position.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
No
didn't know
way.
that.
That's
That's
crazy.
crazy.
When you're
What?
ringing out, it tells you, yo,
That's
no.
crazy.
Yeah.
And here's
What's
a
nice
trick.
about it is like, hey, buddy,
Yeah, here's a trick for most home studios.
Wow.
That I go in and I see producers I work with. They work in in their living room or whatever. The speakers are 99% of the time in the wrong place, and that is the number one problem. And I can tell from when they send me their rough mix. Send me their rough mix. There's no bass on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you're sitting right in the mode, or there's so much bass on it that you cannot hear the vocal.
Yep.
And like, where you sit, you don't hear the bass. And they're like, what? I'm like, check this out. So for that problem, the single best thing you can do if you don't want to spend any money is put your speakers against the wall. Make sure your speakers are as close to the wall as possible and not in a corner.
Right.
Corners are the kiss of death. But
Right.
if you put your speaker against the wall, literally touching the wall as much as you can, as much as the XLR will let you,
Right.
it will alleviate a lot of those issues for long, complicated reasons that we can discuss on
SBI.
some other place. But that's what I see. Most people have their speakers where it looks good, but nobody's going to look at the track. They're going to listen to it most likely.
Absolutely.
And so against the wall is the first step. If you're not in a treated room,
And most people, that's like you have a lot of great advice that's contrary to popular belief. It's like most people will tell you stay at least 1 foot away from the wall.
1 foot is the kiss of death.
Right?
Because
Literally.
1 foot is the wavelength.
Of a sub, yeah.
The 1 foot is the wavelength of probably, I don't have the exact number, but probably between 150 and 250,
Yep.
which is where the knock of the bass drum is, which means that you will fuck up.
Big time.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
This is why Jesus invented headphones.
Praise be.
Yeah, you check on headphones, but I promise that unless you're in a treated room or you really, really know what you're doing, put your speakers straight up in the wall
Wow.
and put yourself at the right distance from them, and your life will change for the better.
And what's the right distance? Equilateral triangle?
Equilateral triangle, if you can pull that off. So it depends on your desk.
That permitting, yeah.
It depends on what your girlfriend will let you do in the living room.
That's true.
I mean, it's really complicated.
Very complicated. What about you, Nick? Do you have any special secret sauce for effectiveness in the studio, be it equipment, be it building? You actually introduced me to a good friend, Gilad, who
Gilad's
is
great. Yeah.
amazing studio builder.
Yeah, he's great.
So
Yeah.
apart from having an amazing studio to begin with,
Thank
what
you.
other things do you do to make that process easier?
I think routing and flexibility, that's one of my favorite things about a studio is like when you walk in there, being someone who is facilitating sessions, if I'm not engineering them or, supporting our assistant engineers that are facilitating them, it's like if an artist asks to do something, I want to make sure that we can say yes and accomplish that thought. And, if they're inspired enough to, hey, we want to do this, this, or this, it's like, yeah, let's do it. I think some studios, not to disparage any, but I think a lot of times now with the convenience of laptops, some of the routing stuff has kind of dropped off.
Oh, big time.
You lose tie lines in studios, guitar lines, and all this different stuff. And, I just put a 948 in our Nashville studio. It's got
Nice.
tons of routing flexibility. And, my favorite thing about a SSL is the track busing, being able to shoot stuff around the room
Yep.
and, Q sends, all that kind of stuff. I mean, just sending signal is such a valuable thing that I think that, gets kind of lost in the dust a little bit. So, being able to just do whatever the artist wants to do, and it takes some looking at a lot of other studios, older studios, pulling in some inspiration from that and just trying to bake that into your room so you can have setups in the live room. You can have setups in any booth you want to have.
Right.
Have people working in the booth and then be able to bounce signal back and forth, listen
Yep.
to what they're doing. Hey, this is what we're working on in the A room. Boom. Cool, great, boom. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So it's completely collaborative, but at the same time, it can be independent if necessary, which greater affects, I think, the, success of the room, and it just feels like it's productive. So I don't know, routing for me is a huge one, and also just trying to keep the vibe up. That's my biggest thing. I think just trying to come in daily and I don't know what he's doing. Just come in daily and
Shout out our boy Big Lou.
there we go. Trying to come in daily with a positive attitude. I mean, that's another one too. Aside from gear, having a good time, being fun.
It's
you know?
hard. It's hard, but it's really a thing. You got to check your ego at the door.
Absolutely.
It's
none of that here.
Yeah.
It's just less. You said it earlier. You know, we talked earlier before. It's like the great attitude. You know, you're just having fun, blessed to be here. You know, and I think, you know, if you couple routing with a good attitude and a smile, you're off to the races.
I think that's a great.
Some Cloud mics too.
That's
Thanks,
some
Rodger.
secret. Yeah, that's some secret sauce. Actually, you know, in the digital world, you don't do a ton of routing, but you still in a studio session, like you said, you do like an old school session.
Absolutely.
So it's
You
like
do a lot of routing. It's just abstract.
Exactly. It's
Right. Even more abstract, maybe, because
Yeah.
you have to figure it out, how to get it in, how to get it out.
Yeah, and some of the, I think, no disrespect to some of the kids that, God bless them, they haven't had the opportunity, maybe work in a big room or something.
Yeah.
They don't know the opportunity or the flexibility that can exist.
Right,
Because they can't
You know,
project. Yeah.
Exactly, and it's not their fault. It's just they haven't had the opportunity. You know, it's
You know,
like,
you know what I found is fascinating?
What?
So we have a lot of interns at Flux, probably
Yeah.
like 12, because we like to pair them up, and we have 2 shifts, and there's 7 days in a week.
Right.
So there's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And they come in, and they're all very smart.
Yeah.
Because we filter and we get a lot of people asking, so we have the great luxury of being able to decide who comes in. And so they're all already pretty advanced. Some of them have been to school for this. But when they come in, none of them, and I mean none of them, know how to use a patch bay. And that puzzled me. I'm like, this dude can like fly around Ableton
Exactly.
and fly around whatever you need. But you ask him to patch the line from the line 1 from the live room into the line 6 on the console, and the output of that into a compressor, and that into a thing, and they'll sit there on the edge of tears.
they
And
go
I'm like,
pale.
what the fuck's going on? And so what's going on is that this new generation of music makers comes on the scene. They've never been able to see and conceptualize, actually see with their eyes an actual routing, like an actual routing. Everything has been happening in the computer. And for us, ancient people, when I realized, okay, for example, when you want to go somewhere in the street, I mean, you've been before. I don't know about you guys, but for me, the route I'm going to take is basically that matrix, like, I know where I'm going because it's in my head. The new generation, they don't. They have GPS. They
Exactly.
follow the instruction from the phone.
Beautiful.
Right.
You remove the phone, they get lost.
Right.
Yep.
So it's the same because they haven't trained that muscle.
Right.
So it's the same for routing. The minute we train them to literally look at a piece of paper that shows the routing, and we do that over and over again, 3 months down the line, they can do it.
Yep.
Because the abstraction in the computer, for them, it just, there's an input and an output, but there's no connection between the two of
Right.
them.
Exactly.
And so that routing stuff puzzled me for the longest time. It's because they never had to think of it, or they never visualized it.
Right.
And, so and even with a diagram, they look at it and you're like, what the fuck is this? But if you insist and then make them practice the patch bay, then they get it.
Yeah,
And they're better for it too.
Yeah, and the beautiful part, sorry to almost interrupt you, but like the beautiful part is like it's copper. So
Yeah.
you can do anything you want with it. It
Yeah.
does what you want it to do. You get all different kinds of turnarounds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can, so anyway.
Yeah, one of the funnest thing to do is to take a new intern and put them in front of the Dante matrix and say, go ahead. I would like this input to go to that output. I'll see you in 2 hours. And you can't get it. It's just that thing is so abscond. It's obscure. It's weird. It's silly. But then you do the exercise with them for a few months. You put them on an analog patch bay, and you do that exercise again later, like that.
Right.
You figure it out. Like that.
Dante's super easy because
Yeah.
they're very computer savvy already.
Yeah.
And like you said, I wanted to add on to that was there's an input and an output, but that's just memorization.
Mm-hmm.
We actually had to trial and error, plug it in and see if it was crackly or if it actually sounded like full signal, you know?
Yeah. So if it was in phase, huh?
yeah, that too. That's a whole nother
Still trying.
Speaking of patch bays, shout out to Paul Wolf,
Yep.
Crazy.
the genius.
Yes.
I got his Wolf Audio patch bay, and this thing, it's not cheap, but the routing flexibility that you were talking about,
Yeah.
you guys would not believe. Just having a piece of software control your patch bay, no cables, and you can literally do drum recording preset. All the mics are patched, preamps to compressors to inputs.
Yeah, it's really
Radical.
cool. It's really cool.
And then
Looks
like
crazy.
you're mixing, and just to be able to hit a button and switch your stereo bus gear or your vocal chain. Literally, like I have 5 different compressors I could use on the vocal. Let me try this one. Nope, this one. Nope, this one. Where that would take 30 seconds per
Yeah.
patch, and you're not going to audition 5 compressors for
Well,
your vocal.
And you
in
say
a normal patch bay environment.
And you say 30 seconds, but it's really longer by the time you reach over and then you readjust in your seat, in your sweet spot. It's a little longer.
And you have to have good ear memory if you're really comparing those 5.
Right.
With this, it's literally a button click.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It looks really cool too. The orange is really
unreal.
eye-catching. I like that.
It's unreal. So I know it's not cheap, but anybody that has, especially if you have a live room recording drums, just to have a drum setup and then a guitar setup and a piano setup and just hit those buttons and the patching is done. Or if you have a lot of gear,
I don't think it would be more expensive than a proper patch bass. It costs a fucking fortune.
Yeah.
Like a proper E3 patch bay is like $1,500, and then the half normals are fixed. And then think patch cables, they're $10 a pop if you don't want them to suck. So I mean, there's a premium to pay for it, a little bit premium, but I think that for a single operator, like for somebody who's building their own studios and have gear and they don't have too many visiting engineers,
no brainer.
It's pretty badass.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
buy it. It's good.
It's amazing. So, and Paul Wolf is another one of the geniuses. He should probably be sitting here in my spot.
Come on.
So it would be a full panel of legendary studio owners, builders, engineers, and just all around geniuses. So with that, without further ado, help me bring this to a nice close, guys. I appreciate you very much.
Thanks, Nico.
Thanks, Nico.
A really, really cool one.
Nick.
Yes. Fab Dupont.
Great to see you
Bob
guys.
Horn, Nick Mack, Rodger Cloud. This is Faders of the Lost Art live at NAMM 2025. Coming to you live from the Cloud booth. Mic drop.
Don't forget to share, comment, like, and subscribe. And see you next time on Faders of the Lost Art.